I have to know who makes your shirts, because you wear some of the most outrageous shirts I've ever seen in my life, and I like a good shirt.
You like it or not. That's like our political party. We don't try to please everybody. If you don't like what I'm saying, please don't vote for us. It's the same thing with my shirt. You like it or not.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Launchpad. My name is J-Man. The gentleman that is across from me is a name that you're quite possibly familiar with. He is the leader of the PPC, Maxime Bernier. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you here. Now, for those that don't know what PPC stands for, please allow them to understand a little bit more about your platform. And more importantly, what do you want people to feel when they hear PPC?
Well, first of all, the People's Party of Canada, I want people to understand that this party is fighting for Canadian sovereignty and for Canadians first. And for us, that is not a slogan, that is the reality. And we are a kind of a smart populist party in Canada, and we are doing politics differently based on strong ideas. And the four principles of the foundation of our party are individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And all our policies are in line with these principles. So it's a new political party. We started that party in 2018, and we had our first election in 2019, and the second election, just the last one, a couple of days ago.
Yeah. Now, I've watched other podcasts. I caught the Jordan Peterson one, and I was really interested in something that you said, that you were not interested in power, but you were interested in ideas. And obviously, when you said that, you were hoping that you would have some seats from the election. So I'm really curious how you feel about the election. Outside of not getting a seat, what would be the greatest disappointment? And then what would be the number one takeaway that you learned from this election?
Yeah, first of all, when I'm saying we are doing politics differently, because we're not saying actually what people want to hear and doing survey and polling before each election. The platform of this party, the platform of this party was the same one at the first election and the same one at our second election, and it will be the same one later. So what we are doing, it's a battle of ideas. And we want people to understand that we need to fight for what we believe if we want to have real changes in this country. So that's the People's Party. And when I said that, our goal is not to be in government, I hope I'll be in government, but our goal is to win the battle of ideas. And maybe, we'll have MPs, candidates that will be elected, and will be the official opposition, or maybe a day I'll be prime minister. But the most important, it's always to fight for what we believe in. And that election was a very important one for us. Yes, I was not able to win back my seat in Beauce. We didn't elect any candidates, but we were able to grow the party from 1.6% of the vote to 5% of the vote, from 300,000 people who voted for us in 2019 to 840,000 people who voted for us at this last election. So we more than triple our votes and our support, and I'm very pleased with that. So what to do next time, we need to be sure to be able to elect me as the leader and some candidates. But what we did in 3 years, it's better than the Green Party of Canada, because it took 25 years for the Green Party of Canada to have more than 5% of the vote, and we did that in 3 years. So our goal is to grow and speak about what we believe. And actually, I will be back in the campaign trail next week. I'll be in Alberta. There's a Senate election over there at the same time at the municipal election. And we have 3 PPC candidates for that election. So I will campaign with them. And my goal is to build this party across the country and being sure to be ready for the next election that can happen in 2 years or 3 years. So I'm very pleased for us, that's a victory. And now we are the only real opposition in Canada, because if you look at the Conservative Party of Canada, they have the same policies than the Liberals and the NDP. It's all leftist policies and more government intervention in your day-to-day life. So we are the only real alternative. And I believe that we will be able to grow a little bit more at the next election.
Right. Now, what do you think the biggest misunderstanding is about your party that maybe stopped somebody from casting a vote for you?
But, the argument that the Conservative said, the leader of the Conservative Party, about splitting the vote. So he said at the end of the campaign, a vote for the People's Party is a vote for the Liberals. That's not true. But I believe that was a little bit efficient. For us, that's the opposite. I said to people, don't vote against something. Vote for something. Vote for what you believe. Vote for your values. And Erin O'Toole and Justin Trudeau are the same. Read their policies. They're the same on imposing a carbon tax. They're the same on signing the Paris Accord. They're the same about not balancing the budget. They're the same about not to speak about the equalization formula in Canada, that is unfair, and we need to change that formula and be less generous. They're the same on mass immigration. So, a vote for the PPC is a vote for your values, and it's a vote for a real Conservative Party. So that argument, they were saying that in 2019, and they said it again at this election in 2021. And I believe that we have more and more people that are coming on our side because they understand that having O'Toole or Trudeau, that would be the same for Canada. So we are the only real change in this country. If you believe in free markets, in a smarter government in Ottawa, in a government that will respect provincial jurisdiction, we are the only one. So that argument was out there during that campaign. But I believe that we were successful to explain our position to Canadians because we were able to triple our percentage of the vote. And we'll do the same thing at the next election.
Now, Maxime, I'm far from being a political analyst or anything of that nature. So just look at me as a regular voter. And I'm a little bit disappointed when I see what happens in the House of Commons. I'm listening to Justin Trudeau and the opposition, and Justin Trudeau is answering the question the same way 10 times, and the question's being asked the same way 10 times. I mean, I'm just a guy on the outside looking in, and I'm thinking, how does anything ever get done? What is broken in today's politics, and how do we fix it?
Well, what is broken is these politicians are not doing politics by conviction and based on principles. They're doing politics by survey and pollings and focus group. So, the Conservative can ask a lot of questions during question period, but, in the end, they have the same policies on a lot of issues, like I said. So, yes, it is bad that we cannot be in Parliament and ask real questions to Justin Trudeau and other members of the Parliament. But like I said, we will do that battle outside in the street with Canadians, and we will do everything that we can do to change the climate of the public opinion, and being sure that more people understand that for a better country, we need a smarter government in Ottawa that will respect Canadians and taxpayers. So in Ottawa, because you have an unprincipled opposition, there's not a lot of things that they can do. They don't have the courage to debate the real issues. So, we are not there, but if we were there, we will use the parliamentary committee to ask questions about, for example, the vaccine passport, and having witnesses that will have a different point of view of the expert from the government. We will have a debate on the equalization formula in Parliament and in parliamentary committees. So the Conservative don't want to do that because they share the same point of view of than the liberals on these issues. So that's why you don't have real debates and you don't have a real opposition.
Right. That's what had a lot of people gravitate towards you, was your stance on freedom of choice and expression and things of that nature. So moving on to COVID, obviously the mandates, the potential looming firings, it's bananas. I can't even believe that I'm living in this country right now. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that disagree with the way that I feel. So I'm curious how you feel that a nurse is potentially going to be fired for their job, yet you can have a waiter that works in a restaurant. And why are we even having this conversation of potentially firing a nurse or a frontline worker when we're in the fourth wave of a pandemic?
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And you know, the healthcare system in Canada is not that efficient. And now, you know, healthcare workers, nurses, and doctors that if they decide to not take the vaccine, they won't be able to work anymore and give these important services to Canadians. So it's a little bit crazy because the base of all that, it's not based on science. It is based on control and government intervention and government control. Actually, because, you know, if you look at the science and the data and the common sense, you know, everybody can spread the virus. Vaccinated people and unvaccinated people, we are the same. The only difference is a vaccinated person, if that person has COVID, they will have mild symptoms, but they can have COVID and they can spread the virus. So why, you know, a person decided not to have the vaccine, why that person is most dangerous to another person? If you decided to take the vaccine, it's to protect yourself. It's not to protect others. Actually, if you took the flu vaccine every year, when they're giving you that vaccine, they're not saying to you, you know, take the flu vaccine because like that you protect yourself and you'll be sure that other people will be protected and won't have the flu. No, when you take a vaccine, it's to protect yourself. That's it. That's it. And now, you know, I cannot go to a restaurant or Canadians, civil servants at the federal level won't be able to work. They are not dangerous if they don't have the vaccine. You know, you must trust that vaccine and you can work with a person near you that decided to have the vaccine or decided not to have the vaccine, because we are in the same boat. Everybody can spread the virus, and that's discrimination, that's segregation. I was thinking about that during the election. And now for me as a politician, and my goal is to travel across the country to build our party and to meet Canadians, I won't be able to do that at the end of November because I decided not to have the vaccine, and I won't be able to travel because Trudeau and O'Toole, they agree to impose a vaccine passport for Canadian travelers. This is unfair, this is immoral, this is unconstitutional, and I will fight against that up to the end. But I don't recognize my country anymore also. But you cannot have that discussion in the mainstream media. They don't want to have this other point of view. And actually, it's based on science and common sense. If you have the vaccine, you know, you must be protected. So why being scared to have a dinner with a person that is not vaccinated at the next table? It's a nonsense.
Right. So what mandate or mandates, if any, would you impose if you were in power?
No mandate, nothing. You know, we believe in freedom, so we believe in freedom of choice. Everybody must be able to decide if they want to have that vaccine or not with the right information, with an informed consent, and that's the most important. So we won't impose that. And what some experts said in the beginning of that pandemic, they said we must protect the older, the most vulnerable people, and we didn't do that. So these people must be protected and maybe stay at home. But you know, when you look at the data now, the virus is there, and we need to learn to live with that virus like we did in the past with other viruses. Mm-hmm. And that's the first time in the history of the world that we use lockdowns to kill a virus. It is a failed experiment. And so the way to deal with it is, protect the others and reopen the economy, and that's it. We know how to fight that virus, and there's some medication also that can be used to fight that virus, not only the vaccine. So we need to promote other alternatives than the vaccine to protect Canadians. And there's maybe a medical, pharmaceutical treatment or natural treatment. But we must do more research to be able to find real other alternatives. And I know that in other countries, they are fighting COVID-19 with medication, not only with the vaccine. Mm-hmm. So our position is very clear on that. And we believe that Canadians are responsible. And for me personally, just to finish on that, I decided, I'm 58 years old, and I decided not to take the vaccine because I look at the data and the statistic. And in Canada, a man, 58 years old, my chances of dying from COVID, if I have COVID, is only 0.5%. My survival rate is 99.5%. So I said, I don't have any comorbidities. So I said, no, I won't take it. And I'm taking the risk. And I believe that the risk is on my side. And so that's why I decided. But because of that, I'm not able to participate in the civil society right now. That's a discrimination, that's segregation. And every political party at the federal level are pushing for more discrimination. And that's why, we had a good election because we were the only national political party that was fighting against that. And I believe that we have a bright future because people understand that we don't want to live in a kind of a communist country.
Right. So we just want people to have the choice on whether or not they want to be vaccinated. Pro-choice, do you? And I believe, in fact, your father is vaccinated. So it's not like anyone here is an anti-vaxxer. There's a lot of people that have had many vaccinations throughout their lifetime, and vaccinations are just, they're medical magic. It's amazing that we were able to create something as quickly as we did, but just for people to have the choice whether or not they want to do that without consequence.
Absolutely. And I must add, personally, I had a lot of vaccine in my life. I was Foreign Affairs Minister for Canada. I traveled across the world, and I had the traditional vaccine, but I never took the flu vaccine, and I decided not to take that one. But everybody must be free and to decide what they want to do. The feminists a couple of years ago, they were saying, oh, my body, my choice, so I can do what I want on the abortion debate. But we must use the same argument. My body, my choice, and nobody must impose to me a medical treatment that I don't want.
Right. So you'd mentioned the vaccine passports, and that seems to get a lot of people's blood boiling. And then again, on the opposite side, there's a lot of people that think it's keeping their workers safe, it's keeping their patrons safe. I, number one, just don't think that this should be something that is placed on the business owner to have to enforce. How can people battle back against these vaccine passports? You're saying they're unconstitutional. So what is a person's steps in regards to maintaining their job or maintaining their business that they want to take a stance against vaccine passports?
Yes, absolutely. You have a point there. And people that, the people working in the private sector or in the public sector at the federal government or provincial governments, they must fight. If they must go see their lawyer and fight against that, that's unconstitutional. But also, I hope that businesses won't be the police for the government. And I hope that some of them will open their door to vaccinated people or unvaccinated people. Actually, I think it happened a little bit in Alberta with a pizzeria over there that decided, everybody's will come here. They can eat inside. They can have their dinner inside with the vaccine or not. And that's not the job of the business sector to be the police for the government. And I hope that you have more people that won't follow these rules because they're unconstitutional. The problem that we have, for me, for example, I was put in jail, handcuffed, and for a non-crime in Manitoba after a political gathering for 12 hours. And, I'm fighting that. I was supposed to be in the court in June, after that in July, after that in August, and now they postponed that for the mid-November. So we need to have a decision from the court that is unconstitutional. But it's very difficult because the government always try to postpone that because they don't want to have a decision that won't be in their favor. And also if it's a favorable decision for us, freedom fighters, the government will appeal the decision. So yes, we must have this battle in court, but it will take time. And I know that the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms is doing that, and for free with Canadians, and they are fighting for their rights and freedoms. And they have a lot of actions right now in front of the court in Ontario, in Manitoba, in Alberta. But that will take time. At the same time, my role as a politician is to change the public opinion. When you have about 80% of the population that agree with a vaccine passport for Canadian travelers, we need to change that because politicians will always follow the majority. They don't do politics by conviction. They don't try to say to that majority, it is immoral to do that. It is a discrimination. You must not do that. You must trust the vaccine. You add the vaccine, so your life is not in danger if you are sitting with a person that didn't have the vaccine just near you. But the more support we'll have, the better it will be for our society. And maybe these politicians that are looking at the polls, they're gonna, maybe if they have more people against it, their only job is to be elected. And that's why I'm doing that battle. And that's why I need to travel across the country and speak to Canadians and use all the platform that I can have to speak against that. And I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity with your viewers today.
Right. Now, I have one more question in regards to this before we move on. And for the person that says that your views right now on this are reckless and it's putting people in danger, what do you say to them?
I'm just saying to them, no. Look at the science. You're not at risk. If you have vaccine, you're not at risk. If you think that you're at risk, it's because you don't believe in the vaccine. So why taking the vaccine in the first place? You took the vaccine because you believe that this vaccine is efficient. And if it's efficient, so your life is not at risk. And I'm not putting anybody in danger. They want to impose a vaccine on kids right now. When kids, they're not at risk with COVID-19. Only 16 people under 20 years old died from COVID-19 since the beginning of that crisis, and on 27,000 people. So, and the majority of these younger people had comorbidities. So kids are not at risk. They must not, and the parents must be able to decide if they will have the vaccine or not the government. But they're saying, they must have the vaccine because this kid will go see grandpa and grandmom, and they're going to put their grandpa and grandmom in danger. That's not true. That's propaganda. If grandpa and grandmom had the vaccine, they're protected. It must always be a parental decision.
Okay. Thank you for answering that transparently.
Thank you.
Now, I would also like to move on to immigration, multiculturalism, and the Indigenous. And the reason why I bring this up, again, just a regular guy. And if I hear what people are saying that might be along the negative side of things, there are people that are saying that you don't like immigrants or you're a racist, things of that nature. And it shows very clearly, I did my research on you as well, like on your platform, that number one, you're a very big supporter of Indigenous. I think what happens is when people hear about you wanting to, I don't know if this is the right term, but abolishing the Multiculturalism Act. So can you please explain to the listener what exactly that means? Because I think what they're hearing is like we don't want multiculturalism here, more or less have any immigrants in the country?
Yeah, so there's three kinds of questions there. The first one is about First Nation. We are the only political party that has a strong platform for First Nation, and we want to build a new relationship with them. And the most important, we want to abolish the Indian Act. The Indian Act is a racist act. It is based on race, and we must abolish that. And building a new relationship with more kind of a property rights on reserve, and they must have more freedom and more autonomy. So now everything is coming from the top down, from Ottawa to the First Nation. They must be able to manage their future. And so we are ready to open that and to have a discussion with them. Concerning multiculturalism, we are against that, you're right. We are against the legislation on multiculturalism. So we recognize that this is a diverse country with people coming from different backgrounds, different origin. That's our country, and we are proud of that. What we don't like, we don't want the government to promote more and more and more diversity. Actually, I'll give you an example. The federal government is giving money every year to Chinese community in Canada to celebrate the Chinese year. So the federal government must not be in the business to give subsidize and grant to a community like that to celebrate their origin. I'm not against that, but that's not the role of the government. The government must give money to celebrate our history, to celebrate our culture, to celebrate our country. So if they want to have a new Chinese Year festival, they can do that without the money coming from the government. So we want to stop to promote always more and more diversity. We recognize that this country is diverse, and we want this country to be like that in 25 years. So that's why we want to abolish that, and being sure that these communities will be able to do what they want without government money. And the government money must be there to promote Canada Day and our history and our culture. So that being said about immigration, I don't want to be like in some places in France when you have a no-go zone that you cannot do that, and the law of the land does not apply there. We don't want that. Now we have mass immigration in this country, 400,000 immigrants a year. And for us, we believe in sustainable immigration. When you have 400,000 immigrants a year, and the big majority of them, 75% of them, are refugees or people coming under the reunification of family. We must have more skilled immigrants, economic immigrants. That's a person that will come here, and that person will come here to have a job, and it will be easier for that person to integrate our society, to be part of our society. And so we want that. We want to have fewer immigrants instead of a mass immigration of 400,000 a year, maybe a maximum of 150 a year. But the majority of them must be skilled immigrants because our immigration system must be based to fulfill our economic needs. And that must be the role of our immigration system. And it is not the case right now. We try to save the world, and being Canadian is a privilege, not a right. And we cannot save everybody. Now Trudeau just changed the regulations, and they will accept anybody that when they cross the border and they said, I'm a refugee. We must help the real refugees where their life is in danger in a camp somewhere in a country, not people who are crossing illegally our borders at the Roxham Road in Quebec and coming with a Gucci and crossing the border and saying I'm a refugee. No, sorry. For us, your life is not in danger when you're coming from the state of New York. So that being said, fewer immigrants, we must be able to have an interview with these people that are coming here to ask them if they share our Canadian values. What are our Canadian values? Everybody must be equal before the law, equality between men and women, freedom, tolerance, individual responsibility. So we must have a discussion with them. And actually, that's not new. We had an interview with our immigrants a couple of years ago, and now we don't do that anymore. So that's our position on immigration. because we like this country and we know that this country is diverse, but we want to be sure to build, and we want to be sure that these immigrants will be able to integrate our society. And it's easier to integrate our society if you have a job.
Mm-hmm. Now, I heard you use the term man and woman, and that is a blurred line today. Obviously, dealing with gender politics. And to be quite honest, I mean, I have transgender in my family. I have worked with. I am not a prejudiced person. But it seems to be incredibly divisive at times. And it seems that we're very much all about creating labels. And sometimes these labels can be damaging. And I know that your party has a strong stance on gender politics. And so if you wouldn't mind sharing that as well.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. I believe there's men and women, and we don't buy that political correctness. And I said a couple of years ago, I believe 3 years ago, that, for me, that's the end of political correctness. But we respect everybody. If you're a transgender, okay for you, but don't force me to do something that I don't want to do as a Canadian. If I want to call you she or he, I must have the right to say that. And you can do what you want with your body. That's your choice. That's what I said for the vaccine passport. So I believe that people must have the right to do what they want. But for younger people, the parent must be able to decide if, a little girl wanted to be a guy. That must be the decision from the parent, and they must be able to have that discussion with their children. And, I'm working with one of my best friends, is Martin Mas, and he's a gay guy. So, everybody can be different, and that's the beauty of the world. But we believe that there's men and women, and yes, transgender exists, but we respect everybody. So, but I don't play that game that it's more the kind of a pandering. We don't do that. We don't pander to any special interest group. When we are doing politics, we are doing politics for all Canadians. And for me, the color of your skin, or if you say that you're a transgender or not, it's not important. We are judging Canadians by their values and their character. And like for our candidates, for example, during the last election, we selected them based on their competence. And we don't care about, if we have 50% women or not. That's not important for us. You believe in these ideas, you're ready to work for Canadians and put our country first, and you're able to be a candidate. We don't do politics by quota. I don't believe in that. So that's very different than the other politicians that try to please everybody and do politics by quota. No, for us, we don't do that.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate the time that you've given me. I know I've kind of gone all over the place with a whole bunch of different questions, but I want to make sure that I kind of hit the ones that I think the average individual would want to hear most. I know that you also have a great platform in regards to environment. I know that you care very much about our veterans, which is very, very important. Are there any parting words, something that is weighing on your heart that you'd like to share with someone that maybe they didn't get the opportunity to hear?
Yeah, first, I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity. It's important. I want to reach more people, and I appreciate that. And I hope we'll be able to do another podcast like that in the near future. So that being said, if people want to know a little bit more about our party, they can go on our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. They have all the information. Our platform is over there. They can read it. And that platform actually is the foundation of this party. And that's why the next election, if you like that platform, it won't change at the next election. Until we win that battle of ideas, we will always fight for what we believe. So I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity. And if they can know more, they can also write to us at info@peoplespartyofcanada.ca. It can take maybe a couple of days before we answer your email, because we have a nice challenge. We received a lot of emails, and that's good. We like that. So they can reach me also at Twitter account. They can follow me on Twitter, Maxime Bernier. They can also go on our YouTube channel, People's Party of Canada official YouTube channel. I have my Max Bernier show over there. I'm doing interviews also. So there's a lot of information there. And I appreciate that we had the time to have the discussion about the People's Party.
Right. And before we get out of here, I have to know who makes your shirts, because you wear some of the most outrageous shirts I've ever seen in my life. And I like a good shirt.
Yeah, first of all, I put that on Instagram a couple of days ago. It's I have a guy in Montreal. He called the what's the name? Black Au Noir. Yeah, the name is in French Au Noir. It's like black Au Noir. That's a corporation based in Quebec, and another one also based in Fredericton. Jeff Alupa, I believe. What I'll do, I'll tweet about it, and
Okay.
because I have a couple of questions. So these two designers, one in Montreal, one in New Brunswick, are doing shirts like that I like, and yes, it's I'm very pleased. Sometimes you like it or not. That's like our political party. You like it or not. We don't try to please everybody. If you don't like what I'm saying, please don't vote for us. It's the same thing with my shirt. You like it or not.
Right. You're going to need to win 2 seats, one for you and then one for your shirt. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Maxime. I really do appreciate it. Thank you as well, the audience, for watching another episode of the Launchpad podcast, and making sure to dedicate as much time as possible this season to something that I believe is incredibly important, which is freedom of speech and freedom of expression and freedom of choice. So if those are things that align with you, please subscribe. Just click that button, hit notifications. You take care, be well, and love simply because you can.